前回の続きです。It was the first time, of course, for me to go abroad and getting on the cargo boat, which carries the Toyota cars to the United States. And since that was the first time for me to go abroad, I was so excited. The first few days, I could hear and listen to the Japanese radio, but after 4 or 5 days later, there's no sound, no radio or broadcasting, and it was so quiet. On the boat, I have nothing to do. The other three Japanese passengers, they have had the job to do, in order to watch how the Toyota car was carried and what would happen. Every day they keep the memories or doing something else. I haven't had anything to do. I just relax and try to put up with this with my seasick. According to the chief engineer, there's 2. Rolling and what was it? I forgot. Anyway, tate yure and yoko yure. And because of my weak stomach, I was very, very easy to get seasick, and I couldn't eat. Well, this the breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Every time we took together with the captain, chief engineer, chief officer, and these other Japanese passengers, 3 other passengers. And later on, when I watched the movie Titanic, I thought that was, the same thing. Just a small dining table, but still, every time there's a waiter and put on the white table cover and so forth. It was just like Titanic first class passengers, I thought. Anyway, I couldn't eat, so I thought I better do something else, some exercise, and try to do the push-up or jump rope, something like that. One thing I hit my heart is when I went up to the deck, there's only all I can see is the ocean, Pacific Ocean. And that was the first time I thought the earth is the round, nothing else to watch, to be able to see, the ocean is going down the both side, and I thought the earth is the round. Well, maybe it's silly, if I say to the young these days, for example, my grandchildren, why it's you have to be so surprised, but it is the first time, half century or more than half century ago. That was the time when the Japanese yen, 360 yen equal to $1 fixed exchange rate. And the Japanese travelers cannot bring more than 1,000 US to the abroad. It was limited. So anyway, before we reached to the harbor of Los Angeles, named San Pedro harbor, 3 or 4 days before I started getting able to listen to the English radio, American radio, although it was too fast. I cannot understand. But anyway, my heart was pounding again, a few days later, we arrived to the San Pedro, Los Angeles harbor. And then I started feeling uneasy because if I couldn't find my pen pal at the harbor, what shall I do? Can I find the taxi? Can I communicate with the taxi drivers? And can he take to the pen pal's house? It was, so hard feeling. Even I watched the bad dream. And finally we arrived at the San Pedro harbor, and as soon as possible I went up to the deck and I found my pen pals with a few other people. I thought it was a pen pal. It was so big boat, from the deck down to the people downward, and cars I saw, but I couldn't tell if it is still a pen pal. I couldn't see. I haven't had a binocular glass, and I couldn't tell, but it must be. And she talked to me something, I talked to her something, but it was, so much distance, and we couldn't communicate at all. That's all.